James Madison loves books. The library at his Montpelier estate in Virginia has some 4,000 volumes. He reads Latin, Greek, Spanish, Italian, and French. One of his favorites is The Spirit of the Laws, authored by a French nobleman, the Baron de Montesquieu. There can be no liberty if the same person or the same body of men exercise these three powers: making the laws, executing public resolutions, and judging crimes or disputes between individuals. Even if Montesquieu lived on a different continent, and even if he has been dead for 1/3 of a century, Madison thinks his advice is much needed just now. Madison says, Montesquieu is the oracle who is always consulted and cited on this subject. Here's how Madison puts it. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. So here we are, summer of 1787. Starting from scratch, can James Madison and his fellow delegates design a new government that disperses authority among distinct branches, each able to keep the others from oppressing the people? The spirit of Montesquieu hovers over this assembly of men who are blessed with the opportunity to put his ideas to the test. But the devil is in the details. How, exactly, can delegates create a government with distinct seats of authority, each providing a check on the others? Madison, highly respected, takes the lead. As Georgia delegate William Pierce describes him, Mr. Madison blends together the profound politician with the scholar. He always comes forward the best informed man on any point in debate. He is about 37 years of age, a gentleman of great modesty, with a remarkable sweet temper. Madison arrives at the convention carrying an outline for a new government with three distinct branches, as Montesquieu suggested: legislative, executive, and judicial. His Virginia plan, co-authored with the state's governor Edmund Randolph, models the legislative branch after the British Parliament, with its House of Lords and House of Commons. But House of Lords won't play well here in America, where we have no lords. Delegates prefer Senate, recalling the Senate of ancient Rome, composed of wise and usually wealthy statesmen. And rather than House of Commons with its demeaning connotation, the framers settle on House of Representatives. Initially, this will be the only arm of government elected directly by the people to represent the people. Here's the edifice they create. Congress, composed of the House of Representatives and the Senate, makes the laws. The President and his subordinates execute the laws. The Supreme Court ensures that the laws are constitutional and that people abide by them. These three branches, although distinct, are not entirely separate. Taken together, they comprise an elaborate web, each providing checks upon the others. Buckle up for a wild ride. A president can veto an act of Congress, but with a 2/3 vote of each chamber, the House and the Senate, Congress can override that veto and pass the law anyway. The president appoints judges, but the Senate can reject these presidential appointments. Just 1/3 of the senators can refuse to ratify a treaty the president has made with another country. The president can pardon people found guilty under federal law, although not offenders of state law. The House of Representatives can impeach a president, and 2/3 of the senators can then remove that president from office. The House of Representatives can also impeach a Supreme Court justice, and 2/3 of the senators can then remove that judge from office. The Supreme Court can declare an act of Congress unconstitutional. But 2/3 of both houses of Congress can then propose an amendment to the Constitution, although that would have to be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures. The Supreme Court can also declare an executive order by the president unconstitutional, and Congress can withhold funding for an executive order that it does not like. Finally, since all legislation has to be approved by both chambers of Congress, the Senate and House of Representatives can check each other. If you find this labyrinth complicated, that's because it is. But think of it as a fully orchestrated score of music, each instrument contributing to the whole, with no single instrument dominating the rest. Checks and Balances, a grand symphony composed by the framers of the United States Constitution. Some people say that separation of powers and checks and balances are intended to limit federal power, but their purpose is to strengthen the government, not to weaken it. By distributing authority among distinct branches and by allowing them to check each other, the framers can grant greater powers to the government as a whole. As James Madison says, the government is obliged to control itself. Only then can our government be strong enough to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Yet despite their best efforts, the framers recognize that no system is foolproof. In future times, might this delicate balance give way? Alexander Hamilton, a great fan of strong federal government, issues a warning. History will teach us that of those men who have overturned the liberties of republics, the greatest number have begun their careers by paying an obsequious court to the people, commencing demagogues and ending tyrants. And Gouverneur Morris notes another menacing and destructive force that could tear apart any edifice the framers create. Wealthy himself, he is wary of wealth. The rich will have the same effect here as elsewhere if we do not keep them within their proper sphere. We should remember that the people never act from reason alone. The rich will take advantage of their passions and make these the instruments for oppressing them. They always did, they always will. For 237 years, our government has been able to control itself, with no one branch subsuming the others. Can it, will it continue to do so?